Alright, we're going to talk about compositions and reflections. So we're going to start with the reflection across two parallel lines is a translation. So I got those two parallel blue lines and I'm going to reflect that object across those two parallel lines. Actually, let me move those just a little bit. I don't think I can actually. That's okay. Alright, so reflect this across that first blue line. It's going to go right here. Going to move it so the second one would look a little bit better, but that's okay. Alright, so you can see that reflected across that blue line. So I'm going to reflect it again. And you'll notice my second reflection here looks just like that first one. It's just moved. So when you reflect something twice across parallel lines, it's just a translation. Alright, so a reflection across two intersecting lines is a rotation. So I'm going to reflect this, I'm going to reflect down first. So I got 3 spaces, so 1, 2, 3. So my reflection of this triangle is going to look just like that. And then I'm going to reflect it across the other line. So you'll notice if I just took this image and I rotated 180 degrees, I would be at my new image there in red. So reflection across two intersecting lines is just a rotation. Now my intersecting lines there were perpendicular, that's why it's a 180 degree rotation. If your lines were not perpendicular, you'd still have a rotation, it just wouldn't be a 180 rotation. Alright, next kind of thing here is a glide reflection, which is a translation and a reflection. So I'm going to translate this triangle there. Let's do it. We'll follow a translation rule, just so we can review those real quick. So I'm going to translate it x plus 4 y. So I'm not going to change my y there. So I'm just moving it 4 units to the right. So there I moved it 4 units right. And then I'm going to reflect it across that black line there. So there's my new shape. So that's a glide reflection. You're going to translate it, so you're going to move it, and then you're going to reflect it across a given line. Alright, we're going to talk about isometries next. And isometry, there's 4 of them. There's translations, rotations, reflections, and glide reflections. And the reason these are important is because of the orientation. When you're talking about a translation or a rotation, the orientation is the same. When you're talking about a reflection or a glide reflection, the orientation is opposite. So I'll give you some examples of these. So translation, let's say we just had the letter R, and I translate it, it would just be an R somewhere else. It'd still look like an R. For a rotation, again I'm going to start with an R. If I rotated that, it would still look kind of like an R, it'd just be an upside down R. Whereas with a reflection, your orientation changes. And then with the glide reflection, we're changing the place, but we're also changing it by reflecting it. So you can see on those reflections, our R looks backwards. Whereas in the rotation, it's just upside down. So that's kind of how you can think of the orientation there. If it's still basically the same, being a translation or rotation, or it being the opposite in a reflection or glide reflection. So those are your 4 different isometries.